colors of the season.
At the annual holiday dinner at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Minneapolis, people are encouraged to share personal Christmas stories. This year, Pastor Tim Hart Anderson delivered an epic.
So you are a radio studio audience tonight for WPCB, Westminster Presbyterian Church Broadcast Company.
Dozens of volunteers came together to build a set simulating a 1940s-style radio drama, arranged by Prairie Home Companion veteran and church member Vern Sutton. It's based on a true story the pastor heard from his father when he was growing up.
The night before Christmas, 1944.
On December 24, 1944, as the decisive Battle of the Bulge raged, some 2,200 American GIs boarded the ship Leopoldville in England, headed for the battle's Belgian frontier.
It just don't feel like Christmas Eve.
Hart Anderson's father, Hank Anderson, was crammed in the ship's hold.
It was just a miserable situation. So I said, let's go up on deck and sing Christmas carols. I would say there were 15 to 20 of us there. And we were singing Christmas carols. And I was leading them. And all of a sudden it's becoming a rather tender story. And we could see the lights of Cherbourg in the distance.
The drama used sound effects to convey the disaster that was about to strike as the ship was just off the French coast. Some 800 lives were lost in the deadliest incident of the war for the U.S. Army.
Emergency stations! Emergency stations! All hands to emergency stations! The Leopold's been hit! The U-boat torpedo hit the Leopoldville below the waterline on the starboard side. Scores of those lovely Yankee boys are killed instantly by the explosion. Others drown as water rushes into the ship. Most of the survivors stand on the deck and watch as other ships come alongside to begin rescue operations.
Hey, Sarge! What do we do? That British destroyer is pulled up alongside us. Shall we make a jump for it?
These guys were paralyzed. They just would not jump. And they had seen some jump and not made it. So it was quite a jump across. And I remember getting over there and sliding across what little deck there was, slammed into the bulwark that was there, staggered back up to the rail, and the sight that I had made it enabled them then to start jumping.
Gee, Rosenblum, are you going to jump? Is there another choice?
The character Rosenblum was written into the drama when Gail Rosenblum, a local columnist, came across Anderson's story. Her late father, Sidney, was on the ship, and she's convinced he was in the singing group, and that, she'd like to think, influenced her love of this music.
My friends joke, they tease me because I'm a Jewish girl who loves Christmas carols. I always loved them as a girl, and so when I heard the story of Hank and put that all together, I felt like, now I understand why I love them. They saved my father's life, because all the men who came up on the deck to sing, thanks to Hank leading them up there, they survived. And all the men who didn't come up were the victims of that, that torpedo.
Her father had this love of music before he went into the service. My father did, and the more we talked, the more we began to sense a kind of narrative that really wound together in some pretty remarkable ways.
Hey, Archer, can't a Jew enjoy the lights and sing a few tunes? You sing Christmas music? So who do you think does the best Christmas music? Ever wonder about that? Irving Berlin, Mel Torme, Johnny Marks, all Jews. Winter Wonderland, White Christmas, all invented by my people. Who else would name a red-nosed reindeer Rudolph?
His family says Sid Rosenblum talked very little about his war experience. He went on to become a psychologist. Sid Rosenblum died in 1988 at 63. Hank Anderson was headed to a law career before the war, but became a minister instead. He was an active civil rights campaigner in the 60s, influenced during the war by an all-black unit in the then segregated army, which fed and comforted the ship's survivors when they reached land.
They surrounded us and sang Christmas carols, and I was so stunned.
At 87, Hank Anderson lives in retirement with Mary Anderson, his wife of 64 years.
The Yanks who survived found a whole new meaning to that Christmas Day.
Tim Hart Anderson says he's glad his father is still alive to see an important story preserved by and for the next generation, one that in some ways has morphed into a sermon.
I would hope that the kind of universal theme here is that hope cannot be cut off, and light cannot be turned off. The human spirit can sing its way through anything.